Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, it is Aussieverse, and we are back, baby. It is Omni-Bo, joined by Single Issue Steve and the Sharif. Now, today you are obviously seeing a couple of faces here that have not come over to the Aussieverse before. Who are they? What are we doing here? Let's get into it. This episode, we're sitting down with Slavik and Jack, the creative forces behind the Daily Mobster, an ambitious new graphic novel epic. The Daily Mobster isn't just a comic, it's a bold fusion of film, language, and comic storytelling absorbed in an entirely new way. And after more than 20 years of working in the film industry, they've decided that they've had enough of Hollywood endlessly recycling the same franchises. So they did what creatives should do, and they built their own thing without any Hollywood oversight. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the one, the only Slavik and Jack from the Daily Mobster. How are you guys? Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful intro. Yeah. Yes.
Doing well. Happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
We are pumped, especially after checking out your work. We do have some people here to say good day too. Matt, how are you, mate? Thank you for joining us.
Morning, Matty.
He's already being a smart ass with his comments. Thank you very much. James, g'day, buddy. Good to see you as well. We are proudly sponsored by Comic Bookaroo. And before we do get into the nitty-gritty, we do want to give a massive shout-out to our 4 lifers. These are our paid members that do contribute to Aussieverse each and every single month. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If it's something that you want to consider and get a few perks, join now. Otherwise, the best way to support Aussieverse is simply by subscribing. Now, guys, introduce yourselves to the world for Australia that do not know who you are.
Yeah, we're a writing and creative team. We've been working together we met in the Hollywood industry, so we've been working together for almost 20 years. But then we've been working together as partners on this specific project for about 5 or 6. But we've had various other projects. We both kind of come from animation, done a little bit of directing. I've done some episodic directing. Slavik's done some commercial directing. So this is our first foray into the comic world.
Well, it sounds like an exciting foray.
It's a big one. Yeah, we chose a large step.
Yeah, it's interesting because Jack is actually a comic book reader. He enjoys the medium quite a lot, and I haven't really read any comic books. I'm more from the film, games, that kind of side of the industry. So I'm a lot more familiar. So to me, this is a really kind of interesting opportunity because I'm not a reader, but I we're developing this. So for me, this is like developing this from scratch. Like this is almost my introduction to the medium, completely. So I found it to be a very interesting one. And Jack likes to read. You like to read quite a lot of kind of indie stuff, right?
Yeah, personally, I've growing up, I obviously read kind of the old standards and a lot of superhero stuff, and I was really big into X-Men when I was a kid. But as I kind of got older, I drifted away from the superhero and the big studio stuff. And partially, I think working on those films contributed to that. I just kind of had enough of it, and my taste has always been a little kind of off mainstream anyway. So I've been really much more a fan and collecting like a lot of indie stuff, but even stuff that comes out of Image or the pseudo independent kind of spaces. Just throw out some names, and like obviously I was wildly influenced by the Dick Tracy series. I used to love reading that actual little strip as a kid, but then the collected stuff more recently, and even the recent iterations, that film I loved as a kid. More recently, I really like. There's a series called Black Sad. All the hard crates crime stuff I really like. It's kind of. Any of Brubaker's work, like it's kind of all in the area and the genre that we're kind of working in. But my tastes are all over the place. Even like weird child stuff too, which is kind of influenced here actually in a lot of ways.
Don't clip that, people. That was taken way out of context.
Yeah, that sounded a little weird.
When it comes to the Brubaker and noir stuff, you're definitely in the right place because Sharif and I love that stuff. And I'm not saying Steve doesn't; he just hasn't read it yet. And it's one of the
Sure.
books that I'll lend him, Criminal, and all of that Brubaker stuff. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my ears perked up when you said Black Sad, because even though the publishing of Black Sad is interspersed for a few years in between, but every time it comes out, it's like it
hits really. Yeah. It hits really hard. I mean, the illustrations alone are kind of what sells that, but the stories have been pretty fun. Yeah.
Should we have a look so that other people
know
what it is that we're actually talking about, and let's get them excited about it.
Let's do this.
Let's see here. Share the screen.
Yeah, so I'll just give like a brief intro, and then maybe Slavik can even talk, because I think probably the first thing you'll notice is it looks pretty different than a lot of comics. It's illustrated, but illustrated by Photoshop and a lot of 3D. We're basically following our skill set from the visual effects and animation world. So everything is modeled and textured and lit and rendered, and so it gives this very kind of realistic cinematographic kind of look. And we've even kind of dubbed it as like the cinematic graphic novel, which we think lends actually quite well to the genre. Like, we're really aiming for that kind of period piece, heavy noir, kind of hard-boiled grit. And yeah, so Slavik can probably talk a little bit about the process, but basically we throw you right into it. We start out with some newspaper headlines that show you're in a world that's kind of cursed by violence. And the opening scene is even just to say we're already a little bit different, not just visually, but story-wise. It's got a little bit of a supernatural. You're kind of the classic meeting at a crossroads, and a grieving father is sort of set up with this impossible choice of the potential to maybe see his daughter again, or to become a murderer. So it's kind of like we throw you right into it, and we also say this is not a classic kind of mobster noir. It's got these other kind of tones to it.
I love the supernatural elements of it too. And basically adding the Baron in as well. Like the Baron, like historically is a character, is really fascinating. So excellent choice.
Well, thank you.
We did have a bit of a conversation before we went live and before you guys came in, and Steve made a good point that it's you get this like Coraline Nightmare Before Christmas kind of feel with it, which is that's so attractive to me. And another thing that I don't know if it was Steve or Sharif that said it, but one of them did, and we have guests that come on, and we do tend to say, this is really unique and it's original and stuff. And we're always telling the truth. We never lie and pump stuff up. But with this specifically, it's so accurate. It is so original, and it is so different to anything else that we've seen.
Yeah, I think that really comes with the combination of our kind of backgrounds. Jack brings his illustration background. I mean, the characters all stem from the original blog that he started in 2011. And he did all these characters during his lunch break. And over time, he had about 80 to 100 characters. And I was really always fascinated with them, and each one just got me really, really excited. And whenever I look at each character, all these ideas pop in my head. And that's actually how we started developing the story, is that we said, okay, this character feels like he would be interested in this, feels like he's doing this. This is, what he has for breakfast. This is what he does for lunch. Like every illustration that Jack did, I had a way of interpreting it. And we would really build these characters with their illustration elements, in place. And the story came about where, obviously it's a mobster world. I mean, that's what, the original blog was about. But one interesting thing that happens here is that we ask the fundamental question, what is the price of life? Because in a lot of really strong mobster movies and animations and books, when somebody dies, that's really the end of them, right? And then we love the character, but when they die, that's kind of it. And here we have this really interesting philosophical opportunity, and a really fun one, where we can say, well, what can happen if we can change the rules and we can bring somebody, back to life. How does their perspective on life changes? What do they do with their life? And every character has a different understanding, a different reason, a different goal, and it becomes this really interesting, really universal exploration of, human existence and human life, and you know we know the price of items, we know the price of, we know what money is, we know what gold is, but we really start exploring the question of, what is the price of life, and what does it mean to each character and how it affects them. And that's where I feel like we really start doing a very genre bending type of thing where, yes, we're in a mobster world that's set in like 1920s, late 1920s, early 1930s, in, a city in America where there's been tons of violence, and suddenly, not suddenly, but over time it has died down, and we find out why. But now that, as the story begins, the violence is about to begin again, but on a much, much larger scale. So the story starts out very, very small, but grows into a really large epic, of a kind of almost like a Greek mythology type of scale, um, tragedy. So if I can reveal that much. And if you go to some of the other scenes, you can kind of get a different feel for daytime scenes, but there's always this. Probably the quickest way to sign up would be to use a Google or Facebook account, and then you can quickly see the other sequences and
Yeah,
just
it's a good
be able.
good spot to actually add. It's free to read. All you need to do is just kind of sign up to the website. We can talk a little bit about that and like the business model, but this is actually a great opportunity to illustrate. You can check out the first scene totally free. Just go there. No, nothing. We don't need an email, but all we ask if you want to keep reading is you sign up.
Yeah, we really wanted this to be available for everybody. We just, thought about what's happening with the world, and uh, just, the streaming platforms. It was really interesting because Spotify, Netflix, Disney, all these major players have their streaming platforms, and what started out to be a very kind of convenient way of, um, absorbing different content and stories and films. Now it's turning into a much more kind of dreadful experience where now there are ads, and you have like different layers of accounts, and we don't like that. And so we thought, well, how can we make this to be a profitable business, but yet have this be available to everybody? So we are releasing the best quality for free. You can, we will have printed versions as well that you can buy. We'll have toys, but ideally you'll be able to read this on a website, and we'll start translating this into different languages once we get to that point in terms of release schedule. This way we can do a proper translation, not just a Google translation that will screw it up completely, but working with the native speakers and trying to get what we're trying to do across to different cultures. And I think that's going to be very important. So we want to make this story be available to everybody in the world, regardless whether they can pay for it or not. We're saying, hey, it's free. Anything else is like, you can become a part of this. You can, via the donation model, you are able to even donate to get a credit on the digital and the printed versions, so you can directly be a part of this project, and your name will be ingrained into the producer credit forever, along with our creative credits. So really want to welcome as many people that enjoy this kind of content, enjoy these really kind of dark stories that are also have this balance of humor and kind of irony, a lot of irony here. And, overall, we're not taking ourselves too seriously. We want to entertain, and our story is structured in that kind of way where, we touch on the deepest subjects while making you laugh at the same time. And that's where really the story is, and where it's, grown and developing. And honestly, we're just incredibly excited that we have a chance to do this, just Jack and I with our co-writer Liz, Liz Chun, and tell a story that we want to tell without any modifications, from the corporate world where, normally a story of this size would be, have to take, notes or changes or ideas from, the dark overlords over at the corporate, you know, structures. So yeah, we're excited, and these are some of the characters that Jack illustrated. Some of them are from 2011, some of them are recent because we added them to the story. But we want to kind of create a world where you can explore the characters, and we'll be doing toys. We already have prizes every month that will be giving away a 3D printed original maquette. But
Oh,
as
that's cool.
we move forward, we want to make the maquettes be much more available, to buy, and we still want to do the monthly giveaway. So when you subscribe to us, we, only ask for you to give us your email address so we can send you an email once a month to tell you about the new issue, any new products, and also about, new advancements, like if we are going to be, printing toys and having a line there. We also want to get into NFTs at some point, where we want to make the digital as a character collection a thing for those that are into it. So yeah, we really want to make this as friendly and as viable as possible, and really including the fans, the readers, and saying like, hey, come join our family, become a part of this with us. We're just right now the two of us. We have a third partner that's essentially the business slash funder of this project, who believes in this. And when we first showed this to him, he was very excited to just see all the characters in the world that Jack and I have developed. And we'd like to really finish this story because we feel like it's going to be a pretty interesting one, a really fun one. So I hope, the readers feel the same way as we do about it.
I think the accessibility, guys, that you've provided to everybody, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and it's a fantastic hook to get people in to actually get on and start supporting you guys financially, because it's not like you've done 2 pages and go, all right, now you've got to spend X amount of money to read the rest. It's like, here it is. You can read it right now, but join us if you want. And I love that whole aspect of it. It's very, very different to a lot of the sort of Kickstarters out there.
Yeah, thanks. So we're hoping. I mean, it's a bit of a gamble, but we're hoping that it pays off, right? That we say, here's the product, and you tell us how much you think it's worth. Like if it's 50 cents to you, great, drop 50 cents. But if you think it's worth the 25, 30 bucks, awesome. And then, with an opportunity to actually get involved and like you said, similar to Patreon or Kickstarter, get involved and get perks and kind of early access or exclusive content, exclusive product. But it's not a promise of, it's already here, right? Like that's kind of the thing about Kickstarter is it's like, well, it might happen, but this is already here. And we're hoping that it kind of stands on its own and proves it.
What impresses me is what Matt said in the comments earlier is not just the design of the actual comic, but the website, how it goes dark on each sides as well. And your choice of lettering as well is quite unique too. So the whole experience really and honestly is quite different. You really do feel like you've been put into this noir, scary, and at times funny world. So well done on that, man, because that's already an achievement.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to ask, how far did you guys get through it, the content?
I read the first 2, I think it was,
okay.
just past the T.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, because obviously the scene we're showing is very dark, and it's intended that way. It's nighttime. It's the middle of a field, and it's a mysterious meeting. But yeah, there's some beautiful daytime stuff that takes place in this noir city. We go in a gorgeous mansion of the oligarchs of the city, known as the Bostons. So it has a wide range of kind of dynamic visuals, and a lot of that comes from Slavik's history, working in previs and lighting and kind of shooting commercials and stuff like that. I'm not really the lighting guy. So he could talk about the cinematic nature of it. But yeah, I mean, as any fan of noir knows, like that's a big part of it, right? Like the storytelling through light and dark and kind of silhouette and shadow and all that stuff. And of course it plays so well with themes of coming in and out of light and falling into shadow and doing things in the dark. And so we're having a lot of fun with that.
Did
Jack, I don't know
you
Sorry
did
to
you use
interrupt.
any inspiration from people you know in real life? Matt's asked.
Yeah, I mean, there's the characters directly. I would say not so much. I mean, we were actually just discussing today on a writing session. I mean, there's so much of us in our history and people that we know. Kind of, I think most writers could probably kind of confess to that. That there's you pull from what you know and you pull from the experiences you've lived. So I wouldn't say anybody's like a specific character. They're all kind of amalgamations of people we know or ourselves. But there's a lot of Easter eggs. I've dropped a bunch in here just from my childhood. There's names after people that I grew up with, or streets that are St. Rita's Orphanage is named after the school. St. Rita's was the school I went to. So like, there's like lots of stuff like that. But I don't know that there's any like one character where like this is basically this person. In fact, I think we've tried to not do that. We really want to kind of let Slavik alluded to it earlier. So this was almost written in reverse. It's been an interesting challenge. A lot of times writers or stories, you come up with a cool hook or a plot or a concept, and then you kind of flesh it out with the characters involved and the sets and how this is going to play out. Like Slavik said, this all started as a blog. Like I was just drawing characters and I had no intent of creating a linear narrative. So it was very freeing for me to just write and design and create whatever I wanted just within the kind of mobster noir theme and genre. And so it wasn't until we started selecting our favorites and saying, oh, we like that guy. And maybe that person's married to that person. And maybe that's so-and-so's brother. And we started to kind of build this world of characters that the story kind of started to show itself to us. So a lot of the characters kind of already just existed on the page as these own little entities, which was really nice. It actually, it was fun to have an idea of who these characters were even before you started writing a scene.
Guys,
Yeah,
is there any...
Oh,
sorry.
go ahead.
No, sorry, you go, mate. You go.
I just wanted to quickly follow up on that. Yeah, I feel like the initial designs were so invoked so many ideas that it was really fun following them and almost discovering. And even to this day, we'll have a character maybe who already has 3 chapters. They already have been established, and we've written 3 chapters of them. And then on the 4th chapter, we might be discussing something, a theme or a character arc, and we suddenly discover something we kind of didn't even see. So we kind of add that. So our characters are growing kind of really organically. I almost feel like we're moving forward something, and as we see things that kind of happen in front of us, we're just trying to grab them and add them when we feel they're correct. It's almost like that's like the kind of the idea.
That's Ben Sullivan saying that, who's one of my favorite artists ever. So that's a really good compliment.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's really, really nice. Thank you.
Guys, what I was going to say is just jumping ahead a little bit is it's kind of like, and again, I'm not an expert in this kind of industry, but with everything that's been done, all the artwork and all that sort of stuff, I've been dying to ask, are you potentially going to turn it into an animated feature in the future if all goes well?
So the history there is knowing that we both come from animation and visual effects. That was actually our intent. We were both simultaneously writing different things, and Slavik had a script treatment and I had some serious stuff, and we were developing just different properties, and we kind of joined forces to almost be like a creative content think tank kind of development company. And this was one of the ones that we kind of picked out of both of our repertoire of, oh, this should be developed. And the first incarnation of this was, let's develop this for television. And we pitched it around, and it was very different than what you see now. It's gone through obviously many iterations, and it has evolved quite a lot. But that's where it's kind of started. And then, we had another business that we did a mobile app for kids called Pirates Boom Boom. So we've kind of danced around. And then when we finally came back to this one and we said, well, it is important to us to be able to produce something ourselves. We want to make sure that we can do it without a lot of oversight and tell the story that we want to tell without, too much input or overhead notes. And then, ultimately, we do still want to take this to a larger platform. But I think it's important for us to make sure that the story is true and kind of honest to what we want to say first, rather than kind of jumping there and getting it all jumbled up in the studio system. But yeah, to your point, we are basically, and even what you see now on the page, we're basically following everything we've learned as visual effects and animators. We're following that pipeline. The only thing that's missing is the motion and the audio, right? Like everything else is kind of the same.
I
Which
mean,
I did.
go ahead.
I was going to say, I did see that you're potentially adding a soundtrack as well.
We we explored that idea. It's quite interesting because actually, coming from kind of like live action and film, I am the more we do this, the more I'm in love with this medium, and the more I actually don't want to do this in any other medium. And if it does happen, I want it to be completely different. Actually, I don't even think I'd want to be involved. And I think, Jack, you said you felt like that a couple of months ago. I don't know if you feel like that now.
Yeah, kind of feeling like if this were to get picked up, we'd sort of be like executive producers. But I don't want to be in the rooms.
Yeah, this is a very interesting medium, and as we're learning the language of telling the story via frames and text and kind of this, I'm really discovering a very interesting nuance to this language that I almost don't want to mess up with, and kind of try formulate for either film or animation. I feel like what we're exploring, or at least from my end, what I'm kind of learning and seeing, is that the comic book format is very, very interesting. It's almost like I'm discovering like Star Wars for the first time. It's just incredibly freeing. We're able to tell the story that we want to say and explore it in this really fun way, and I'm loving it. I'm not even thinking about film or animation. I'm loving this as is, and I really want to complete this project before before I die. Not that I'm planning to die, but I'm just like, oh, I hope nothing happens. That would be terrible. I'm just really loving this process so much, and like what we're doing. It's yeah. And as far as music, we tried music, and it feels really disruptive. I don't know why, because actually I started reading it and listening to my own music, and it doesn't have that feel anymore. But I think as soon as we start dictating kind of like the musical aspect of it, it's actually very difficult to read. And Jack and a few other people found that to be, the case as well. So I think for now we're gonna not explore it, but I think if we do a different medium where, if like for example we have the frames be full size and they almost kind of like stay on screen, like the film has like something has been edited, right? Like almost like a film, but they're in stills, then I think we can add the music. But for now, it's so far it's been not helpful and actually quite distracting. So the silence experience is something pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's
Slavik,
funny.
you mentioned,
Sorry, Sharif.
Slavik, you mentioned about prior to this, if not had any comic book experience, how big of a learning curve that you had to go through jumping onto this?
It was very interesting because I remember our first frame, and Jack says that I do all the lighting, and that's more or less true. But what Jack does is he provides the assets and he textures them, right? So he gives me things to light, right? Without his, shading, texture work, the feel of the world, the light would be not doing very well. It really needs those, the bumpiness, the whatever, if the leather, whatever the leather has, whatever the metal has, whatever the plastic has, all those things are needed for me to light. And then once he gives that to me, so I feel like his contribution in the lighting is just as important as me lighting it, because I have something to kind of grab onto. But I remember our first frames, and I didn't know what it was going to be. It was really kind of blank, and we learned as we went, and we developed this language. So kind of like what you're seeing now is, the language that we developed specifically for this. So I didn't have any reference because I wasn't reading any comic books. The closest thing I would say is like I read books and, with pictures, and, use my imagination for the rest. And what you're seeing, the experience on the website, is kind of like a combination of, we're giving you these visual cues in a very almost filmic way, and you're kind of, filling in the rest, and you're imagining the rest. and it's this kind of like interaction that we're having with, with the user, with the reader, that I feel like is incredibly interesting because, every person will have their own interpretation of what's happening, between the frames and what they're feeling, what they're thinking. So the experience is not as, rigidly set as it would be with film. And just discovering that, and I think we're still learning, and we probably will be
Yeah.
until probably the last episode, has been just really interesting because, the film world is incredibly rigid. Like when you're on set, you have all this heavy equipment, you have lots of people, everything has to be on time and nothing ever is. And it's very kind of stressful and, it's such a rigid process and, very expensive one. And the result is kind of like weight on you. And this is like the opposite. This is a very freeing experience. You can, we essentially have developed this world and we can go anywhere and explore and see and get inspired. Um, I just I'm so happy that this thing exists, like the comic book format exists. For me, it's been like a huge relief. I have no
Sounds like we've got
anxiety at all.
sounds like we've got to send you a big list of comics to read, mate.
I actually would love to start exploring comics now. Yes, so
Good
please
on
do.
you.
Come rob my bookshelves. I've got.
You have stuff to
So-
give away.
What do you think has been the biggest challenge for you guys doing this? And at the same time, what's been the easiest part of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's changed over time. I think the writing is kind of the biggest challenge. So neither one of us are professional writers. I've been writing my whole life. I've, written little novellas and short scripts. I've written screenplays, but nothing has ever been professional. I've always been more on the visual side. So this is also not only our first foray into comics, it's also like kind of our first major writing debut. And I think we were both very uncomfortable with that at first. I think it's gotten a lot easier. There's always something to discover. It's always a challenge, but it's become a very enjoyable experience. I think we've gotten over the hump and the fear of the anxiety of writing and of kind of like, oh man, are we ever going to figure this out? Or is this good enough? Or does it make sense? And now we've kind of gotten to the point where, well, this doesn't make sense for this character, or it's not working. So now let's break that open and discuss and kind of see where it goes. And that's been really fun and like really rewarding. I'm personally really proud of what we've written. Sometimes I look at it and I'm like, I don't even believe I wrote this. It's like, you get to that point where you're like, the characters are pretty solidified and the story has got its own engine. The answers start to come to you. And a lot of artists and creatives reference the muse or the channeling of some other story, and it does feel like that at times. It's like I just don't even feel like we're writing this. It's like it's kind of coming up. So I would say that's been the challenge, but the visual style too. I mean, like Slavik said, it's like we came at this with a very kind of specific attack approach, and it wasn't necessarily a visual style. It's just we knew that we wanted to leverage our 3D skills, particularly the previs skills, because we thought it would allow us to output content faster. And we've kind of moved away from that. We're like, we're not about faster. We want to make something that's like really good. And so it's evolved dramatically since day one. That would be mine, I think.
Yeah, the writing is very, very challenging. And I think what we try to do with every scene is try to find the soul of it. And what I mean by that is that when we do our first pass, it's very kind of rough and it just kind of gives us ideas of, what things look like, where we are, what's happening. And then we get to a point where, things look really nice and we're pleased with the look and, kind of pleased with the story. And then, we try to keep on going and developing each scene to where we find the thing that really gives it its feeling, that really, makes it different from the other scenes. And um, the thing about that is that it's not something you can kind of control, right? You can't say, okay, well, now it's time to give this a little bit of soul and that needs 5% more. And over here is, 35. This one really needs it. It's more about just being able to get into the space of discovery and be free to kind of like not be afraid of like maybe failing or not finding it, and kind of like just being open to it coming to you. And it's a very kind of, like I said, strange process. It's not linear. It's just more about just being there and really studying the characters and what are they, what are they about? Would they notice this or would they notice that? Or and that discovery has been incredibly difficult. Yet when you do find that, it's incredibly rewarding because now it elevates this character to a greater level of understanding. So now we can, take that and bring it on to the next chapters and next scenes, right? And the story has been, even from chapter one, we finished chapter four and we're right now writing chapter five. The, our understanding of characters is so much greater and so much deeper that I'm not sure where we're going to be in chapter 25. I don't know
Yeah,
if I'll have the mind to comprehend and feel the
yeah,
characters.
it's not so much like that we're winging it. We have a structure. We know where it's headed. We know like where the end goal is, which I think is really important, so that you kind of know what you're funneling to. And we generally try to approach character that way. We say, well, what's their end game? What is their demise, or do they survive, or do they disappear? Like where are they headed, and kind of what are their motives? And just so we know where they're going. But like kind of the events that have been kind of organic, and we've maybe created a huge challenge for ourselves in that it's quite an ensemble cast, and it grows each episode. And that spawned from its earliest incarnation when it was just a blog and it was like 80 some 100 characters. And we really wanted to represent that diversity of just all these designs and these interesting personalities and characters. So it has been a huge challenge juggling characters and kind of getting them to all intertwine. And we've kind of, I would say, inadvertently started to write, like Slavik mentioned earlier, almost like a Greek story or like a Game of Thrones, or like it's a lot of characters coming together, and it's a huge challenge, but it's been really fun because it's such a diverse cast of perspectives and experiences that it really lets you explore the topics that we're trying to touch on from a lot of different lenses.
Are you guys in the same state together?
Yeah,
Yes.
same city. We're both in LA. Yeah.
Okay, because I wanted to know how important it is to have that good creative team dynamic when you're tackling such an ambitious project as well. Like, do you have to really like the other person, or is it just a business relationship, or is it better when you're actually good friends, or how does that work?
Oh,
There's a long pause. Who's doing it first?
Jack and I usually don't get along. No, I'm just kidding. No, we're actually incredibly close friends, and we've been like that for a really long time. And I feel like we complement each other creatively in a lot of ways really well. The way that this started is that actually I hired Jack to help me on another project that I was developing a long time ago, and it was like this behemoth of a project, and I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm like, all right, what do you think? And he's like, well, this needs this, this, this. So I hired him so he would, come to me every like once a week and for about an hour or two, we would sit and just, get through the script. And I realized how I enjoyed working with Jack, and I liked the process, and it was fun. And I think to do something of this capacity, especially considering, it's a passion project, even though we do have funding behind it, it's still it's still ultimately a passion project. It's not anything corporate or business related. So uh, we're, I think to have that initial foundation, I think is important. I don't, because when we argue, when we talk about the story and why we should have this character do this and not that, that foundation comes into play because at the end we're still trying to do this one thing, and we're both moving
Yeah.
together in the same trajectory. So I do think so.
I would agree. I think it's helped immensely, not just to like have a shorthand and a way of communicating with somebody rather quickly, and kind of often, even if you disagree, you're still kind of on the same wavelength and page of like how to get through it or how to discuss. But I mean, it's even illustrated in the professional world, right? Like there's a reason like the writer's room have the quote unquote writer's room clause. Like you need to have this kind of breakdown of the super rigid professional barriers to get to the meat of what you're talking about. Sometimes you're talking about offensive stuff, dark stuff, really touchy stuff, and especially in our genre, like there's a lot of death and loss and grief and murder and sex and whatever you want to talk about, right? You can't talk about that on the floor of a studio, right? Like all that easily. So a friendship kind of automatically brings that a little bit of breakdown of barriers, and like we're okay to talk about. But I mean, we've even gotten into some stuff that I don't think we otherwise would have talked about as friends. Like it does kind of crack open some really interesting themes and make you think about, if you were this character, how would you be? So yeah, I can't imagine doing it just like with an assigned other hired writer. I don't think it would I don't think it would be quite what it is.
Well, expanding on that then, are you collaborating with any other writers or inkers or colorists or letterers? How's that work?
Yeah, so we have a writing consultant, Elizabeth Chun, who we mentioned, who's I actually worked with when I was at DreamWorks. She's a writer in the industry as well. She had her own show. She was show running a show for a while. So she's been a great help just as a third voice. So she's not there all the time. Like we still are the core writers back and forth, but then we bring her in usually once a week to kind of check in on us and bounce ideas off her, give us a totally different perspective, say like, that's crazy, guys, what are you thinking? Or that's really funny, that's working well. So that's been our main writing. We've had friends and stuff give us a little bit of feedback here and there, but nothing major. And then Slavik, maybe you want to talk about the visual. We've had a lot of collaborators visual. As of now, it's currently just the two of us producing pretty much everything you see, but with the caveat that there was a huge pre-build part. Maybe, I don't know, Slavik, you want to talk about
Yeah,
that?
we hired artists, modelers. We worked with Rigger Mike, who, because there's so many characters, I mean, and to kind of get them to look the way that they look, so they kind of, feel like they can exist in this world and give off the, the emotions and the character personality traits. We needed professionals to help us because we were able to do quite a lot, but there were some areas of the process that we're just not very good at, or it would take us a long time and things like that. So we had a team called the Monk Studio from Thailand that worked with us, that modeled a lot of the characters. So Liz has been great for us because she's kind of like a third voice balancing us out a little bit, because Jack and I, when it's 50-50, there is this like lack of like a third opinion that kind of gives us context to what we're thinking. And with Liz, it's great because she helps in that, and I feel like she also helps to bring a female voice to this, because we have males and we have females in the story, right? And to kind of give the female perspective its own kind of credible, kind of correct point of view. She's been, helping us to kind of guide that, just to make the characters feel like, as authentic as possible, right? So it doesn't feel like it's just, two guys that tried writing a female. We really have a female kind of voice, kind of guiding that, and it's nice because then she helps. Obviously, she helps us with the male characters, right? And she gives us really her unique point of view on them, which gives us things to think about. So
Yeah.
it's a big kind of like philosophy, almost kind of like setting where we're discussing anything and everything, and it's just really great because it creates this very open environment for creativity, and it's creativity that we can put on the page right away. We can we don't have to go to anyone to approve it or anything like that. We can just say like, this is what's right for the story. This is what's right for the characters, and we're going to stick to this, regardless of what somebody can think of it or like it, not like it, be offended or not be offended. We feel like we have this unique opportunity to do this, and I've been trying to get my own projects off the ground for a long time, and it's really, really difficult in you could say, this Hollywood echo, sphere, this bubble. Is just getting projects off the ground is challenging. It's always a challenge, and we really see this as an opportunity for us to tell our story the way we think it needs to be told, and to give our voices, both writing and visual, this ability to kind of like funnel to the world, and we're really just grateful that this came to be, and we're very humbled by the experience. So really, we're just trying to make it the best we can. That's really our goal, and we hope that people really enjoy it and like it, and you know, um, after that, we're happy.
Do you have an end goal in mind? Do you know the ending already?
Yeah, as I was saying before, we have a very clear end result for the main characters and kind of thematically, kind of how it all ties together. Um, we're aiming. It's a little fluid because we're open to letting the story contract and expand as needed, but we're probably aiming for an ultimate grouping of about 23 to 25 issues to tell this whole enclosed story. It's really important for us to tell a closed story. I don't want to do the endless issues, characters randomly, it was all a dream or it was rebirthed, like I don't want to do that. I want to say something. I want to have a narrative that is enclosed. So yeah, we've done quite extensive work on figuring out where it leads to, and even that, I mean, just today we were kind of trying to figure out a couple of certain characters, like, well, how does that lead towards the end, and then that sort of informs what we're writing now. One of the things I think we didn't talk about and kind of glazed over was the fact, because we're both writers and doing the visuals, it actually creates a really great opportunity for us to have to feed each other. And because we're the own receivers of our own work, like we're the illustrators receiving our own writing, we know what impact our writing has on the actual production of the imagery. And just like reverse, we also know when we're creating visuals, oh, we've discovered this cool new aspect of this character, of this set, and like, wouldn't that be cool if that now became part of the writing and the thematics behind it and kind of everything, the subconscious and the symbology and all that stuff. So it's been really fun to have kind of this cyclical feedback loop that allows the story to, in my opinion, feel a lot more rounded, and like really, like, it's not just like, oh, and then what happens, and then what happens. It's like, no, like it kind of does this whole like weaving thing, which has been very challenging, but also like really fun, really rewarding.
It's good to hear that there's an actual ending, though. Like, I mean it. Like,
I know you do. I do too.
As somebody that's been reading comics their whole life, and I'm obviously addicted to the superhero genre, the thing that I've started doing in the last few years is really reading a lot of independent comics. And I've started to really love non-superhero comics where there's a beginning, middle, and an end. It's, we mentioned Criminal and a few things before that, which I know Criminal does go on, so I'm contradicting myself, but it does have its own closed stories as well. I just love that stuff.
Yeah.
One thing that I think we're planning to do, and I think we have to get there once we finish the main story. Because we do have so many characters, some of them kind of leave the setting for a little bit, come back, and what we'd love to do is kind of do these kind of like B-sides, like these B stories of these characters and their adventures, while it all fits into the main story, because I think that's the driver. But I think we have the opportunity to do that. And when I get there, I feel like it would be a really great place because we have some characters that are just really fun they're very entertaining. Like, should I just give it away now?
Yeah, it's fine. I think it won't spoil it. Like, I'll just throw a few out. Like, we have a robot coming, which seems totally like out of the blue for a noir. Like, that could be a whole side thing of like, what's the deal with the robot? I mean, the Wall character who's in the first issue, this big block of a kid. Like, I'm fascinated with him. Like, I think he could be a cool one shot. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The Milkman is another one. It's like you set him up to
Yes.
be such a strange figure that when he leaves, like, what did he do all this time? Well, I'd like to know. So I think we'll probably do these B-sides that like ultimately fit into the overall story and help it, but we
Yeah.
don't want to step on the kind of like the time frame of that, because I think we identified when this story begins and when it ends, and so everything would kind of be enclosed in that, so it doesn't feel like, oh, this just can go on forever and ever and
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
or even have a side story of what the rooster and the cow were doing after the milkman left.
We've had full conversations about that. What's going on over there? Yeah.
Is it possible then that when it's all said and done, and have done these B-sides as well, would you have some sort of big collected edition?
Yeah, I think for me personally, I love the physical aspect. I mean, as much as this, to me, it really sings on the website, and it really feels like an immersive thing. I still love the printed medium, and I would love to have this like massively collected. Just also because it'd be the most gorgeous printed book, you know, with all the finishes. But even it also would open up the opportunity to change tone and change genre a little bit, because we have characters that we blur the line of the timeline a little bit. Like, we don't take ourselves too seriously. It's not so strict with era appropriate technologies and verbiage and all that stuff. So we have a couple of characters that are like on the fringes of the 20s and 30s. We have a character that borders more 40s. I don't want to spoil that one because that actually is a plot thing. But like, he could have his own offshoot thing and be like a whole world in and of itself, and then also look different. Like, it could be in color, it could be like, and I think that could be really fun.
Yeah, because we love our collected editions over here, and I'm telling you, if you're planning on doing that, like, I'm still going to be following along, but if you do a collected edition, I'll be buying that one for sure.
Yeah.
Even just in the first chapter, man, there are just so many different panels that would just make amazing posters. Just having them on your wall, they're so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt says, I think having anchor points of a story leading to the end, yet being open to the organic growth, is the perfect mix. Anxious to read this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the goal. I've found with most of my projects, that's the best methodology. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with Inktober? Do you remember that trend they were doing on Instagram? So I was some illustrator, and I used to partake in that a lot. And one year I challenged myself I was going to write a whole story. And if anybody's not familiar with Inktober, it's just post an illustration, a drawing that's ideally done in ink every day. And I didn't realize how big of an ask that was, to tell a beginning, middle, and full completed story just kind of on a whim. It wasn't pre-written, but I followed the same structure. I was like, I know where I'm starting and I know where I want to go. And then I kind of came up with a midpoint, and that really helped me. Then the middle was sort of improv, but at least it like had a direction, and it worked out quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about that. I wonder why that didn't.
I don't even know if it's right. Yeah, I don't know if people still do it. I don't think so.
What else are you guys working on at the moment, or have you got anything else that's finished coming out as well? Anything else you want to promote?
So Slavik's on this full time. Luckily, we're very grateful. We got some private funding to support this. Very serious about completing this. Hopefully not leave fans hanging, which is another frustration in the industry. I'm currently working full time. I work at Netflix. I'm on an animation project. So it's, anything else are we working on, Slavik?
Oh, you just came off the Twits. That would be the kind of like the last.
I just finished on the Twits, the Roald Dahl thing that was on Netflix earlier this year.
Oh, yeah.
Not really promoting for me, but the studio and the other great folks that are on it deserve it, and it's a lot of labor and love goes into those projects. So check them out.
Well, for those people that did come in late, we're going to have one more quick look at some of this art. These scenes that I was talking about, just this very last scene, like, that just says so much to me. It's so cool. I'm not the most, I can't put it into words what just that scene makes me feel. But then there's so many other ones. Like, I love My Whole Darkness. Like, look at that. Just put that on your wall as well. Then some of these character shots as well. Look at that. The eyes. Like, it's just amazing. I really, really am impressed with this. And like I said, it is incredibly unique. It is very, very different. And I'm definitely along for the ride.
Oh, one of the earlier questions that I can forget. The character designs, were there any preconceived ideas of what they would look like depending on how they sounded on paper?
Yes and no. So like if you go to the characters page, so that's the reason we included, it's a little jarring for some people that they're in 2D, but we thought it was really important to kind of give people a history, right? Like where this all, so these are the actual original drawings that I was doing close to, I hate to say it, 20 years ago, 15 years ago. So a lot of them existed and were invented in a vacuum. Like I had no intention of, not intention, I had no dream that this was actually going to become this. So some of them, not so much. They just kind of existed, and then we formulated the story around them. But like, take Judge Wong, for example. He was a new character that was invented for purposes of telling the story. And so he was invented to fill the voice on the page, like you said. So some of them, yes. And then some of them changed a little bit. Like one I can think of in specific, Boss Boston, who's become a major character. He's one of the main mob lords. This is a little bit of a modified version of the original to reflect more what you see in the comic book, but the original version looked quite a bit different, but we liked the essence of what the character was saying. So mostly I would say it was a design first, and then that's kind of informed, like, oh, what does this character think? What do they feel like? What are the, what experiences do they have, kind of driven on almost what they look like. But there's been some tweaks. I don't know. Slavik, do you have insight on that?
Because Jack designed them, so I felt like I didn't really have too much say to tell him, like, no, don't do this, do that. But when I would say, I think this character should be this, we would have a lengthy discussion, because that would be my interpretation of what he created, which, he's the creator. Who am I to tell him, no, this is what the character's like, these kind of eyes, or, this kind of nose. But I really tried to explain to him why I was feeling so specifically about something, and tell him, like, this is what makes this character, come to life. And so it was, once we would have that discussion, then I would ultimately say, like, it's your call. What do you think? And then we would kind of still work together, but Jack would ultimately be the decider, because I felt like he created them originally, and I didn't want to step on that originality, his vision, this creativity too much, and kind of. So whenever I do have a interpretation or a note or anything like that, I try to be really, really careful with it. So the characters stayed really true to him.
One thing, Sharif, I'm thinking now that you've brought this up, that actually I didn't really think of, but there is an important process that sort of happens here that maybe doesn't happen on most comic or illustrated things. Is there's a translation from 2D into the 3D world, and it's a pretty dramatic step. Actually, it's difficult as a 2D artist to draw something in 3D and how it's going to look from every angle, and then just seeing that initial transformation from the flat page to a sculpture basically is sometimes like weirdly jarring or very exciting or whatever. And I think a lot of that, and a lot of what Slavik's talking about, is we're really trying to evoke a tone or an emotion or a feeling, or like, what is this character all about? So just knowing that they go through that build transformation actually informed quite a lot of it. It was like, well, what is this going to look like at that angle, or like that shape? What does that say? So pretty much every character went through some kind of a transformation just because of that process.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that, actually. Going from 2D to 3D. All right. Well, remember, everybody, go to the Daily Mobster and check out the first issue absolutely free with no ads, and sign up, because you can also get donations that unlock a whole bunch of perks. There is monthly giveaways, and there is even producer credits for top supporters. So go check it out. This looks incredible, and I am so happy that you guys reached out to us and wanted to show this off.
Thank you
so for having us. We're very appreciative.
Yeah,
absolutely. Is there anything else you wanted to go over and talk about before we end it?
No, I mean, I think I just wanted to say thank you guys. It's a pleasure to be welcomed into the community, and as contributors. And I feel like it's a very amazing place of storytelling, and I'm very excited as a non-reader, but hopefully soon will be a reader, to join and start exploring. And so just thank you very much.
Look me up on Facebook. I'll send you a list.
I will. Thank you. Thank you,
All
Bob.
right, well, before we do go, we're going to have a word from our sponsor, and then we're going to come back and we're going to be asking Slavik and Jack the most important question of the night. What is it? I think you know.
Comic Bookaroo, proud sponsors of Aussieverse for all your comic book needs. Graphic novels, hardcovers, omnibuses, single issues. Don't forget to pre-order every Sunday at Comic Bookaroo.
Comic Bookaroo, Australia's #1 online comic book store, where FOC has now been moved for Monday nights. Ignore that ad, but don't ignore that ad. We'll update it eventually. Madam, oh, that's a shame. You always just catch the end, don't you? Okay, guys, I need to ask you this very important question. It is the question that we ask everybody that does come on Aussieverse, and that is simply, let's start with Slavik. Slavik, what is Aussieverse, sir? If I said that to you, what would your answer be?
Well, Australia is already a continent, so I'm thinking of a really big place. But I would say it sounds like a place where I'd want to be. But it is hot. I feel like it's hot, but I still want to be there.
The hot seat.
It's hot at the moment, yes. Jack, what is Aussieverse, sir?
A great surprise. This was a very welcoming. I really appreciate what you guys did. It seems like a cool community with a good readership and just a fun time.
It's really nice to connect with you guys. Just knowing how far physically we are from one another. It's really nice to reach out to the other side of the world and say, hey, we're here, you guys over there. We can be friends.
Only if you read comics.
Yes.
Sharif, what did you think about those answers?
Oh man, those are excellent answers. But let them know.
Unfortunately, guys, you're absolutely incorrect. Aussieverse is and always will be for life. We'll catch Slavik and Jake next time. Thank you oh so much. We will catch you next time from the womb to the tomb.